New Lenox, Illinois. Go ahead.
Thank you. I really appreciate Mr. Obama coming to meet with the Republicans. But I just want to, hopefully people will remember that both sides have bashed both sides, Obama included with the teabaggers and so on and so forth. And the ideology are quite different. They are totally different on health care and other issues like foreign issues, the terrorists coming to New York. These things had not been answered, and quite frankly, unless those are answered adequately by the actions, not by just words, that will, unfortunately, I think it'll be similar as it was contentious in some respects at this meeting with the Republicans, especially when Mr. Obama said he's having fun, and then Mike Pence replied, "We are too." Now, subliminal, I know exactly what that is. They are not getting along. There are things that both sides have done, but I quite frankly know that Pelosi and Reid have been the procrastinators on this. And I watched C-SPAN. I watched the hearings. I'm disabled. I had 15 operations. I see what Durbin does and so on in Congress. And quite frankly, until they stop that, they must stop that. Otherwise, this is just a big show. And I'm very hopeful that it does stop because, quite frankly, there are people suffering out there. There are people losing their homes, losing their jobs, and I'm one of them for health reasons. And it's terrible. It's terrible. And until they really, really start listening, and I know there's going to be problems with ideology. I understand that. But there are some basic fundamentals that these people can get together on.
Joseph, thanks for the comments. The president taking questions from seven or eight members. Most of it dealt with the health care debate, but there were questions on trade and on jobs and on the president's proposed spending freeze. Biloxi, Mississippi. Linda on our Independence line. Hi there.
Yes. Hi.
Go ahead.
Look, I'm an independent that tends to vote Democratic much of the time. But I'll tell you why I'm an independent, because I'm absolutely disgusted with the abominable way that these Democrats and Republicans are acting, especially when the nation is at risk and experiencing a serious crisis. We're talking about lives, and what we have is gridlock. Some of his biggest problems came from people in his party hijacking and doing whatever they could. Politics is the old way, and the Republicans are caught in the old way and wanting to win the war of words, and it's a power struggle that's going on. And what's happening is they're not listening to the people and serving the people. Health care is extremely important. We know half the time the figures are not correct. Unemployment is extremely important.
And he got a number of calls on health care today, a number of questions, I should say. We're taking your calls and your reaction to the president's engagement with the House Republican leadership and the members, I should say, in their legislative retreat. This did happen a couple of times during the Bush administration, where President George W. Bush, met with the Democratic caucus in 2001 and 2007 at their annual meetings. Here's Peoria, Illinois. Todd is on our Independence line. Hi there.
Hi, I'm an independent. I tend to vote more towards the Republican side, but I cross over once in a while. The thing I saw in this particular meeting here was, I was hoping I wouldn't see a lot of lecturing from Obama, but I saw that. I mean, it was kind of the same thing in the State of the Union, a lot of lecturing going on. You know, I understand his point about we got to make sure that we're united, that we're not bashing each other constantly. That's been a problem for a long time.
Right.
I mean, geez, I remember when Ronald Reagan got in, it was a constant bashing of Ronald Reagan and the whole, you know, you want to make a cut somewhere in spending, and he's going to kill old people. He's going to take food out of the mouths of children and that type of thing. I see the same thing going on here, and I don't think he successfully addressed it other than to say, we got to stop doing that.
Well, Todd, do you think, you said it felt like lecturing to you. What about the members there? Do you think they felt lectured to? And by the way, we're looking at a shot here, I believe. Just to let you know, we're waiting for Republican leadership, and we may leave you here momentarily. Actually, this is video from earlier today, but we will leave here once we see Republicans. Go ahead, Todd, with your response.
But I do agree. Well, you're asking me a question. I do think that there was I think they felt the same way in some cases. I can't tell very often. and during this meeting because we couldn't hear the audience response as well, but sometimes we could. But I do believe that they probably felt the same way. A little bit of lecture from him, that wasn't what the whole meeting was about. It was about asking questions, asking him, how come you haven't taken a look at some of these proposals? I happen to like a lot of the proposals that the Republicans have put out. I've read them. They're online. But when you go out to the mainstream media, you don't hear of them at all. All you hear is what Pelosi and Reid and whatever else put out there, and that's frustrating to me because all I get is a mandate to buy insurance. I don't want to have the government tell me I have to buy insurance or I have to do this or I have to do that other than, what would be required to defend the country, et cetera. That's baloney, that kind of stuff. I want to see, and I own a small business. I want to be able to determine where I want to take my company without having to worry about Obama, Pelosi, and Reid telling me what I have to do and how much money I've got to spend.
What kind of business do you run, Todd?
I'm an IT consultant.
Thanks for your input. We'll go to Betty in a moment in Sanger, California, with the House Republican members meeting for their legislative retreat. The Associated Press reporting this afternoon that Representative Steve Boyer of Indiana is announcing today that he won't run for re-election this fall. He is leaving Congress because his wife is ill. Now to Betty on our Republican line in Sanger, California. Go ahead.
I missed the first part of the show, and I'm sorry. Hopefully I'll see it on reruns today.
You will see it tonight at 8 o'clock if you want to. You can always later on access it online at cspan.org. Go ahead, Betty.
Great. Okay, the way that I feel is I hope I can be hopeful that Obama listens to the 50% of this country who doesn't agree with Pelosi and Reid and whether we like it or not attitude. I really do want him to listen to the people. I have to watch and see what happens to know whether I can trust what he's saying or not. But I'm really hoping that we can work together as a community even though we don't agree on all things.
So do you think, Betty, a visit like this, an hour and a half with Republican members, puts pressure on Democratic leadership in the House for sort of more working across the aisle?
Well, I don't know. I know I have learned from this last year I am a conservative because that's how I do. I don't spend money that I don't have. I like our Medicare program, but I agree that it needs to be fixed. I really don't want to invest the money in dumping that and starting all over with something totally new and different. I'm no politician in any way whatsoever. But just as an American person, I'm hoping that Democrats and Republicans, and I don't say I'm either one, I am a retired Democrat if I want to say anything at all. I believe in our Constitution. I want to keep it, and I'm want to have faith in the people that we elect to make good decisions for us because they're the ones with the floor that we gave them.
Going to let you go there and go to Cincinnati, and this is Patrick on our Independence line. Hi there.
Yeah, how you doing?
Fine, thanks.
I'm an independent, but I'm more conservative than anything else. Problem I saw was there wasn't the Q&A. There wasn't the back and forth. It was more Obama and his progressive pulpit along the lines of Reid and Pelosi with their pure partisan mentality, and it just wasn't getting anything answered.
Well, do you think that that those sorts of events are really? I mean, do you think that those kind of events can happen in front of a camera? I should ask.
Well, I think it could, especially when the man has, campaigned on the precept of, being open and, not going behind doors, having the transparency that he's promised over and over that the whole administration's lacked.
Patrick, thanks for the call. I got a couple more in here that we just want to let you know, too. We had anticipated just seeing the president's comments, but we actually were able to get also the Q&A. Initially, that wasn't part of the program, but we do appreciate both the GOP and the White House opening the event to us. Here's Detroit. Excuse me. This is Los Angeles next up, and Mary on our Democrats line. Go ahead.
Hi. C-SPAN, I love you. President Obama spoke so well to the people, and I was just listening to some of the remarks that some of the people had made. And, people, we are the ones. We are the ones to, he said earlier in one of his one of his lectures. He said, "We as people have to do this. They got to stop putting names on who, what. It's us. It's us." And I just want to say, he spoke to the world today. And if I never heard President Obama, I heard him today. And we keep saying who. We have to stop that. Stop blaming our president. President Obama said, he said he was reaching out to the Republicans. He was reaching out to them. He was answering their duties of what was left to do. He was trying. Stop. Let this man do his job so that we can live together in peace and harmony